Hello, in this video I want to share with you this foster care management system that I built. So this is an Excel-based management and payroll review system built for foster care agency. It centralizes data and automates calculation based entirely on user inputs. So this file or this sheet, it only works with Excel 365 and it uses Power Query. If you're interested in this, I sell this on my website, or if you're interested in a more detailed demo, reach out to me and I could schedule a meeting to show you a demo of this in more detail. But basically, this is a system for foster care agency, and one of the most, at least the pain point of foster care agency is that they have to manage different rate changes. So, for example, in foster agency, usually, the foster parent get paid a rate to support and take care of the child, and then the agency also get paid a rate by the state to help support the parent and the child. And then the child that's placed within for the foster parent, sometimes their level of care changes. So each time when their level of care changes, the rate can also change. So you have three things going on in foster care agency that sometimes it can be very difficult to track. One is that, the rate paid to the foster parent, that can change. And then the state reimbursement rate to the agency can also change. And then the level of care for the child can also change. All right. So that's three different things that can change at the same time. So usually, sometimes foster care agency, they will create multiple spreadsheets to track all these changes. But this sheet, it's a very centralized area where you can handle that in one area. And all of these are based on user inputs, of course. So let me show you around. So the first tab here is where you would have a centralized area for your foster care parent database, right? So you log in all your parents' information and it'll calculate the active placement. So these are how many children are active with this parent. So this calculate based on the placement registry, which I'll show you later. And then this is the children's list. So all of this name are made up. They're not real. And then, you can set up your child name list here, and then it'll tell you whether the child is active or not. So basically the active, it just figures out that if you have any inputs on this child in the placement registry, which I'll show you later, and it'll calculate the placement date. So if a child has multiple placement date, just means that they've been moved to multiple parents. And then the discharge date, if the child's been discharged from multiple parents, it'll have multiple discharges, right? And you can have other information about that child as well. But this is basically your foster children database. And then the LC list here is basically the different level of care that you can set up. So for example, here we have 5 level of care. So you can just set up as many level of care that you need. And then this is the foster parent rates. So you can set up all the rates for each of this level of care here, and you can have their effective date and end date. So for example, if a rate change, for example, let's look at moderate. So you can see here, if you go to moderate, you can see that there has been a rate change, right? So this moderate here, it starts out 150, and then on 3.8 it changed to, or it stopped at 3.8, and then on 3.9 it changed to 165.88, right? So this is a new effective rate. So any child that has this moderate on 3.9, it should change this rate as well, all right? And then this is the state's rates. So this is the daily amount reimbursed to the agency by the state for a child placement based on the level of care and effective date. So here, same thing, the agency would just set up the level of care and then the effective date and end date. So let's say, for example, we can look at moderate also. So you can see here, you can set up the different rate changes. So, the moderate start out at 200, and then on 326, it changed to 225.69. As an example, these are not real rates. These are just examples that I've input in. And this placement registry here is where, you can assign the child to the parent. Again, all these names and everything here is just made up. They're not real. So you can see here, you can place any child. So like, for example, we can look at parent number 4. and we can see that parent number 4 has 1, 2, 3, 4, four unique children, right? Arlo, Isla, Theodore, and Maeve. So you can see that Theodore, here let me show you, Theodore is moving from one level of care to another. So he started out as intense, and then on 3-9, right, he moved to CSC specialized. So basically, between these dates and this dates, he gets a different, the parent get a different rate, because intense you get a different rate, and then CSC specialized you get a different rate. So let me show you. Let me put them all back, and then on this dashboard here is where you can input in any begin and end date. So you can put in that here, and then you can put, let's say 1/31, 2030. Okay, and then you see these dates, it will just, this data down here automatically just pull based on the beginning and end date that you input. Okay, so we'll just move that back to 12/31/2030. Okay, and you can select any parent you want or all the parents. So if you select parent number 4, you can just see everything on parent number 4. And as you can see with Theodore Hayes here, right, you remember he moved from intense to CSC specialized. So it automatically tell you what the rate is for that level and how many days he's in there based on the end date that you input and the rate effective date here. And also this piece here is where it calculates the agency revenue and margin analysis. So basically, this is for the user to see, how much the agency has made, and this how much the parent has made. And here it does the calculation, not calculation, more like informational data, right? So here it tells you the number of children in the care, which is 4. So Arlo, Isla, Maeve, and Theodore. And then the days of care. So these are the days of care. So for example, this can look quite large, right? But our days in a statement period is 365. So you can see any children should always be 365 or less, right? It's just the total days of all these children. But if you look per children, they should be 365 or less. So Theodore is 306, which is good. And then Maeve's 305. And then Isla is 334. And this is, it's just basically the days they spend in this level of care, or that rate, or if the rate change, it just, calculate how many days of care in that rate. So this is a very a centralized system where everything is calculated in kind of like one go, instead of having multiple spreadsheets to track different days of care, different rate, and whatnot. So it's just a management system that I've built, uses Power Query, and just a very good design, so you can have everything together and calculate it together easily, and can potentially save you a lot of hours by doing it this way. So so this is something I sell on my website. Again, if you're interested, you can check it out in the link. If you want something like this but customized, we do customization as well. So I built this logic where it tracks multiple rates and then count multiple days and then calculate the amount. So if you need something similar where you need to track different rates, or you have a situation where you need to track different rates for different situation, we can build something like that for your case as well. So reach out to us, and I hope that this is something helpful, and if you're interested, again, check out the link in the description. If you need to customize this or would like a individualized video demo of this system, we're happy to provide it. So just reach out to us in the link in the description. So thank you so much.